to fulfill on what matters to you or what's important to you. So bringing forth the distinction racket, it gives you power. So what are some of the areas of your life where you have something that you don't want? We said this earlier, but I'm going to repeat this. You have something that you don't want, and yet it still stays that way. Yeah, it impairs the ability to fulfill on matters that are important to you and what matters to you. Yeah. So what are some areas of your life that you have something that you don't want, and yet it still stays that way? You awake?
We're supposed to shout it out or her? No.
Oh, I thought we were still in the retort.
So what are some areas of your life that you have that are not working, that you have unwanted and it still persists? Heidi.
Oh, Jennifer, I'm too fat again.
You're too fat. Your weight. Okay. What else?
Mother.
Motherhood. Who are the mothers in here? Couple mothers. Yes. Who else? Get it. Edit. Is it edit?
Edit. Relationship.
Relationships, specifically. Several. Pattern of romantic relationships. Yeah, okay. Not working is what it's like too. Who else? Yes. When she gets angry, she holds on to it. How many of you guys do that? Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Great. How about over here? You guys all have things in your life that you want everything in your life. You don't have anything that's unwanted. Well, what are other areas you have unwanted? They're unwanted. That still persists. Your weight? He wants to gain weight. Okay, Paula. Paula? Her career, yeah, and Hassan?
Reliance on kind of traditional job set.
The reliance on a traditional job set, and it persists. Yeah, okay. So the distinction, yeah. Do you have another one? That you're waving to. The distinction that we call a racket for human beings, it functions somewhat like, when we try this on, somewhat like the gangsters. Gangsters. Rackets run by gangsters. So gangsters run rackets by setting up a front, right? Let's say that they've got a store or something. And the front, what does it look like? It looks legit, yeah? Selling groceries or I don't know, whatever. In the back, what's happening? Rackets, cocaine. The front is kept in place to conceal a payoff. And in the back, what's happening? Rackets and cocaine. Whatever's in your life that you say is unwanted yet persists is almost certainly part of a racket. Now, when I say unwanted yet persists, we mean whatever is unwanted by you and yet present in your life, it's either from time to time or it's been there a long time, even in the background. So we have a design. A racket always has a pretense. What's a pretense? Troy?
If this happens, this is going to happen.
Okay. A condition for something. Who else? Monica?
I'm okay.
What's that?
I'm okay. That's the pretense. I'm okay.
Oh, I got it. It's an example of a pretense. I got it. Great. A racket always has a pretense that serves to conceal the real action. I'm going to say that again. A racket always has a pretense that serves to conceal the real action. And by persist, we means it continues on and on and on and lingers, yes? Okay. And your rackets also include what is unwanted and yet persist for others about you. Now, let's look. Your rackets, ones that you have, right, also include what is unwanted and yet persist for others about you. So who can distinguish that?
Like we have rackets about, like we make up our own rackets about other people's rackets about us.
You have rackets, other people have rackets about you. Yeah. What is unwanted and yet persist for others about you. So you have rackets, okay, so your rackets include what other people say about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you'll have something unwanted and yet persist that is a match for their issue with you. Racketeering. Your rackets even include what you observe between others dealing with what is unwanted and yet persists with each other, and that for you is unwanted, what's unwanted and yet persists. Can you see that? I'm going to say it again.
Sorry.
Just hold on.
It's clear, right? So,
Your rackets that you have, they include what you observe between other people, what others are dealing with. Between others dealing with what is unwanted and yet persists with each other. And that for you is unwanted and yet persists. So what would be an example of that? For Troy, I love you for that. Yeah.
is it like complaining about other people complaining?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Go ahead. Yeah. What's that?
I don't want to
Okay. Okay. So practically every time that you're running a racket, there's some way that you're being, there's a way of being that you are that's consistent with the match for what's unwanted and yet persists. Okay, there's a way of being that's a match for it. And I said that twice because I want you to get that. So what are some real life examples of when you guys run rackets and the ways of being that are consistent with and a match for what's unwanted and yet persists? So the way to ask that is, in other words, is if you think of like a racket as a complaint, right? When you're complaining, when you have a racket, who you're being in the moment is a match for what you're complaining about. Yeah, so you're being a racket. Like in the form you got, you're either being a winning formula or you're being a racket. So what are some ways of being that are consistent with the match for your rackets? What's unwanted yet persists in your life? Yep.
I think money issues, because my family never had money, so it's like my whole family doesn't know how to, when we do have money, we just spend it all the time and don't know how to save, so it's like a racket my whole family has. And then it comes upon me too.
So what's the way of being that's consistent with what's unwanted and yet persists with money? That you have, it's a way of being.
Spending money before you have it.
It's not a way of being. So a way of being, guys, is, it's great. Angry, joy, it's a way of experiencing yourself. Can you see that? The next thing to get is that everything you say that's unwanted yet persists is a pretense. And that pretense includes everything you say to yourself and others that you're doing to resolve what is unwanted and yet persists. And it's a pretense because the real business of a racket is hidden. So to get that, you gotta see the entire design of a racket. So we're gonna look at the rest of the design, okay? So a racket has an invariant structure. It's never changing. Inside of a racket, there's always a payoff. There's always a cost. But the payoff is really what the racket is about. So what you say is unwanted and yet persists is designed to conceal what a racket is really about, the payoff. So there's 4 fundamentals to a payoff, okay? Do anybody know what the payoffs are?
So the benefits that you get from doing
Yeah, that's the definition of payoff, great.
always being right.
Yeah, being right, perfect, yep. What else? What's the opposite of right? Yeah, not being wrong or making somebody wrong. Looking good is not, well, it's a way of being, it's a different distinction. But a payoff is distinct, or,
Being a good girl.
yeah.
I'm thinking about my own payoff.
Yeah, so what are, anybody else remember? Yeah, who said that? Dominating, what's on the other side of that? Avoiding domination. So can we flip the board, you guys? Being right, yep.
Power.
Remember, this is an inquiry, this is not a review, okay? Tonight is an inquiry, not a review. So, and then justifying yourself. It's a form of a payoff. And when we do that, we invalidate other people. And then there's winning and losing. Now, there's a lot of juice in the payoff. But the payoff's not the whole story, right? With every payoff, there's always a what? A cost, yeah, right? So almost nobody gets present to the cost. People will get present to this. This is the easiest part of a racket. But we're not present to the cost. So here we have the payoff, and the ultimate payoff is avoiding responsibility. This is what all this is about. Blaming others, right? Justifying excuses, etc. And the cost is tremendous. It costs us love of others, relationships, it costs us affinity, satisfaction. You know, life is unsatisfying when you stay inside of a payoff all the time. And the ultimate cost of, hold on, yeah, that's it. The ultimate cost of running a racket is aliveness. That's why you see people walk around like they're just like so resigned and cynical about life because they don't distinguish the rackets. You know they haven't. Now, every time you get a payoff, at the same time you pay a cost. So how many of you are starting to experience the payoffs and the cost of running your rackets? You're starting to get present to something. Yeah. Just 5 of you? How about in the back row? Them too? We're here to wake up the dead. Yes? That's what we're here to wake up. All right. So I want to work with someone that has a racket, that has something that's unwanted and persists in your life, and you're willing to be coachable, and yeah, that's it. I want to be coachable. Okay, come on. I want to get your name correct again. Is Edith? And I can sing Edith. What-
never talked about this in my life ever.
What's an area of your life that you're dealing with?
Okay, so this is my unwanted thing that persists. It's been going on forever, always in my life. And it's like this pattern of being in a relationship that goes on and on and on. I do the same thing over and over and over and over. It doesn't stop. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to make a difference. And
You're certainly qualified for this conversation.
I'm a perfect, it has a perfect storefront. Honestly, it's like, it looks amazing on the outside. It's like a store that sells jewelry and in the back is cocaine, heroin, and everything else. Honestly. And I have it all down to the T.
All right, so let's do this. Ready? What's the area of life? You have something that doesn't change. What's the area that's unwanted yet? Relationship with. You gotta get on the court with the relationship though. So is it a particular relationship?
Yeah, like, partner, romantic, boyfriend.
Okay, boyfriend?
Mhm.
I got it, okay.
Yeah.
And what is it that you say? So you say something that's unwanted and yet persists.
What do I say? I say to myself, or what do I say to people? Or what?
Well, there's something that you say that's unwanted and yet persists about the relationship with your boyfriend. Or with
That's
them.
like these boyfriends that I have relationships with are like unacceptable, forbidden.
Hold on, is this the, do you have a boyfriend right now?
Every single boyfriend that I've ever
I'm
had.
talking about this boyfriend right now. You have a boyfriend right now.
Without, right after the boyfriend.
Okay. Okay.
I don't have a boyfriend. But yeah. Yeah, the last boyfriend is an example of every other boyfriend I've had. It's always the same thing.
Okay. So it's always the same thing. So what's unwanted yet persists about the boyfriend of your boyfriend?
And it's like an unacceptable relationship that I keep hidden. Nobody knows about it. I don't share it with the rest of the world. It's like isolated for the rest of my life, and it goes on for years. It's not like a weak relationship.
So it's an unacceptable relationship. So say a little bit more about
It's
unacceptable.
unacceptable. It's like I always choose a person that is very, very, very different than me in every possible way. Completely. It's like we have nothing in common.
Okay, what's unwanted about that?
I don't know. I can't tell because for me it's not unwanted. I want the relationship, but it's not something that I can share with the rest of the world. I don't want to share with the rest of the world because I feel ashamed, I feel embarrassed, I feel that
Yeah,
I will be criticized, judged, rejected, not accepted, and I don't think it's working anyway. It's not a relationship that is going to work out anyway. I know that from the first day.
So you say it's not gonna work out
Yeah.
on the first
I'm
day?
Sure, it's not going to
You're
work out.
absolutely
I'm
certain.
absolutely certain.
That's what you say?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been saying that it's unwanted yet persists? 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years of running that racket, okay? When's the last
And
time?
in between that, I've been married, so it's not like, I've been married to a person that
And when's the last time you ran that racket?
a month ago, like before I did the phone.
Okay. So what's the way of being that's consistent with and a match for what's unwanted and yet persists for you? The way of being we talked about.
That I'm like dissociated from myself. Like I'm not truthful, I'm not authentic, I'm not 100% myself, ever. Because I always have to lie, even though I don't feel like I'm lying, because I don't know, I don't even know.
So if you're hiding something, you're lying, what way of being, what is that?
I'm not saying.
Yeah, okay, but we want to get it, we want it to be in a way of being, an authentic kind of
I
description.
don't know.
You can think about it, I mean, we're just working through it. I mean, you could try on and see if this fits. Shameful,
Yeah, I feel guilt.
Guilty,
ashamed.
shame, yeah. For 20 years. Yeah. Yeah, we have completions in our life. It's a lot on you. Makes us work. It's tough to carry all those loads. And what's it like for you, being shameful or ashamed? Cheryl, it's hard.
Nothing, it's like living like a double life, it's not. You know, it's like not be able to be 100% with anybody, you know, and people like that.
You can just hear the constraints, yes, how constraining that is. And this is you. This is just her area, this is you. Right? So, what are your payoffs? So let's only look where you're.
Avoid responsibility and commitment.
Well, yeah, that's the ultimate, right? So in here,
Yeah,
what are your payoffs?
Invalidating, is that what it says? Invalidating others. Yeah, I do a lot of that. Invalidation. And domination. And being right all the time.
What are you being right about?
Everything.
What are you being right about?
About, I don't know, like even being right about all my predictions that the relationship is not gonna work out, and then like, see, I was right. From the very beginning, I'm like, "Nah, I knew this was gonna work out. Or
Yep.
I knew I was gonna be rejected, and like, I'm
Yep. And what else? What else are you being right about?
that the guys that I choose are unavailable, that are not a good fit, that are never gonna be the person that really is there for the long term relationship that I want.
So, I would say that, I would say that that's your justification.
Mhm.
Try that on. Because you're being right about something about you.
Mm.
What's happening over there?
That I'm not enough, that I'm not loved, that I'm not, no one's in love, something like, yeah. That I believe that
You're not loved, you're not.
Yeah, I believe in loving,
And-
being something like
That nobody can love you.
that.
That you are you. Can you guys hear me? If you can't be loved, lovable, you're like, I'm not, is that what you said? I'm not lovable. And if you're not someone who can be loved, if you're not lovable, then who are you for yourself that you're being right about? Do you understand the question?
It's so emotional to me to understand. I mean, one man.
Yeah, so you're being right about something about you. You have it, but you're not lovable. You guys, and a payoff is nasty. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's like so in there, you don't even want people to know. You don't even want anybody to know about it. That's why you're hiding, pretending, shameful.
Okay, I see, that I'm like,
It's like, we say this, we have this saying, it's like you're gonna cough up the fur ball.
I'm like, I'm not loving because I believe inside something.
Well, that's the nice version of it. Did you guys hear what she said? She said, say it again.
Am I inside?
You gotta speak up, you gotta talk to the room.
Um,
She said she's ugly inside.
Because I'm mean, I'm ugly, I'm like, I'm mean. I'm a mean, ugly, nasty bitch, something like that.
Yeah, and I said that's the nice version. If you're still not covering up the fur ball. Like every human being does, we have this thought about ourselves. It's a thought, it's an internal dialogue, but it's so nasty. You run around for 20 years.
So I'm sorry,
So, yeah,
bad, yeah, I'm bad,
it's not bad.
I don't know. English words, maybe it's Spanish.
This is more the payoff. This isn't part of the payoff, it's the feeling. You see how you're avoiding responsibility? And I know that it's uncomfortable. You're gonna spend the next 20 years doing the same thing. So who are you for yourself? You're not lovable, you're mean. What's underneath that? So what has you say, I'm mean, I'm not lovable, I'm not.
That part of the sickness of the life.
Right, I get that.
No.
There's something that happened a long time ago. You made a decision about yourself. From that moment forward, you started interacting with your own self that way, from that view.
I'm sure I get it from my mom. I mean, something that my mom said to me, or that she kept saying about me.
Which is,
Something that I'm not enough, or love is not important. Love is not important. Emotions are not important. You're not enough, like you're never smart enough, or good enough, or nothing enough. And my dad,
so if you're not smart enough or good enough or whatever, what are you?
nothing.
And there it is. That's the fur ball. Someone who has, like, and this is great, okay, this is a big deal. So, somebody has, a view of I'm nothing. Like, that's like bottom feeder, like, you deserve not to be loved.
Yeah, self-love is not very good.
And look, you want to try on that you're justifying yourself. Right? What is this costing you? What's it like for you? What's the impact?
Then my own. Even when I'm married, even when I have boyfriends, even when I have amazing girlfriends that love me, I have a lot of people that love me around, and I feel alone all the time. All the time I feel alone. Like abandoned.
What's it costing you? What it costs?
Yeah, like self-expression, just like I can't even talk about myself. I'm always like not 100% like saying what it is, how it is. You know, it's like I don't know, I'm indecisive. I can't make decisions sometimes. I have that time. I don't have like
Well-being.
satisfaction, fulfillment, well, definitely not yet. I mean, I've never experienced fulfilling, complete long-term relationship. Oh,
See, I want you guys to get this, you ready? All rackets are survival mechanisms. This is how you survive. Rackets are a reaction to a threat. So to make it worse, most of the threats you're reacting to, they aren't even real. Mostly you run your rackets when your survival is not really in jeopardy. You are in a constant state of readiness to run your racket when anything looks threatening. And you don't distinguish between a real and imaginary threat. So what's a real threat? Yeah, a gun to your head, maybe a train coming at you, that's a real threat, yes? Now what's an imaginary threat? Yeah, someone breaking up you, that's great. What are some others?
Getting fired.
Getting fired. The problem is that you act as if someone is coming at you with a knife when they're simply having a conversation with you. That's a threat. That's an imaginary threat. For you, like most people, everything has the same level of threat. Whether it's a knife or a conversation. You see that? Yeah. So someone looks at you a certain way and you're threatened. Someone says something you don't like or you don't agree with and you're threatened. I'm not asking you to fix or change anything. We're not here to fix you or change anything. I'm asking that you get committed to discovering and experiencing rackets in your life. And doing this is going to have you, right, see a really massive amount of inauthenticity in your life. But it's going to be freeing. The rackets are completely inauthentic. You get that your racket's inauthentic? And the design of rackets is to conceal what's really going on. So you do that to conceal it. And for all of you, by distinguishing your rackets, you're going to unconceal the degree to which you're being and acting inauthentically and what that has cost you. Well, what it has cost you, just like she did. See, we designed it to give you power when it's unwanted and yet persist. These 4 rackets, that was just life, yes? Survival. So every time you unconceal where you're being inauthentic like she did, you're going to create a whole new opening in which you can invent new possibilities for yourself, for your life.